Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is just 3 months away, as you guys are knowing. I can't be more excited for it to actually release. This game has a ton of possibility, and I'm super excited for it. Right now, I'm breaking down two lists, one over on my channel, and the second one over on my friend Leaf Green Gaming's channel, which will be linked in the description. And yeah, go ahead and say hi, Leaf.
Hey, what's going on, Gilko Crew? What's going on?
Again, we are doing this. It's completely based off our opinions. We don't expect all this stuff to be in here. We hope it is, but if it isn't, that's totally fine anyways. And with that being said, let's get started.
Number 5.
Alright, Gilko, so starting off here, what about the experience do you want to see in the game?
Okay, so as you guys know, experience in Pokemon has been kind of a sore topic for a little bit. It's been to where the point where you get gifted a lot of rare candies, you get XP candies, and bottom line is you end up getting super over-leveled really early. To the point where, especially in Sword and Shield, you can have level 100 Pokemon before you go and fight the first gym leader. Now, of course, you can have your own, you can pace yourself to where that's not the case, but some people may not know that. And some people might just, they see candy, I spend candy type of thing. I would like to see EXP candy specifically be held back to post-game, just because, or at least closer to the Victory Road area, and solely because it would kind of it would help trainers with restraint for one, and normally you don't have to worry about leveling your Pokemon, for a specific reason at that point, unless you're going to start doing competitive things, in which case getting to level 100 so you can IV train with bottle caps and stuff like that, it helps. But when you sit here and you look at it and you get raids, before the first gym, and you're able to, grind, and there's no level restriction for your Pokemon, it can cause a really big imbalance. It would be nice to see if they, restricted that back towards either the very last gym and closer to Victory Road, or post-game entirely. The other big thing with it is, with rare candies as well, they're giving out all the time, being able to find. Back in Gen 1, there's like a handful, 1 or 2 that you can get early game. The biggest one that comes to mind is the one in Cerulean City, and even then it's like a hidden item in the backyard of someone's house. So yeah, that's kind of where I want to see experience. I want to see it kind of dial back a little bit. What about your thoughts, Leaf?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like you said, you can get to level 100 before you even go into the first city in Sword and Shield, and so it's a nice feature, but I think some people just can't control themselves, and then they complain the game's too easy and stuff, right? So I think just take that away. Even if you made the bottle cap thing level 50, at least then you're at least at a point where post game it's not as bad. You don't have to go all the way to 100, but yeah, I think post game is just the best spot for it.
Number 4.
Alright, rounding out number 4 on the list, Leaf, what do you think about the important battles of the game? The Victory Road, or not Victory Road, but the Elite Four gym leaders, rival battles. What's your opinions?
Yeah, so I think for important battles, I think to try to make it a little bit more even, I think we actually saw this in a trailer this week as well. The gym leaders didn't seem to have levels in their battles, and so what I'm thinking they're gonna do, where it is open world and you can kind of choose the path you take, I think there's actually gonna be some sort of restriction with levels in terms of everything being the same. And if they're doing that, they may as well also make it just the same as a Wi-Fi battle, where it's 3v3, 4v4, and you can you have the same amount of Pokemon, everything's even, and you just have to be the better trainer. And I think to me that's going to make the gym challenge actually feel a little better. I'm not sure all the mechanics of it, obviously we haven't seen all of it, but from what we did see, there was an Arcanine fighting that new whale with feet. I don't know if they named it, but yeah, we saw that, and so we didn't see any levels, and so to me, that's just a fire type going against the ice type gym. You'll have the type advantage, obviously, but because they are going to still be mono-typed, but or at least what it looks like to be anyways. But at least you'll be fighting maybe a 3v3, and you kind of have to rely on your Pokemon and how well they're trained versus just being over leveled and having 6 Pokemon that you can switch into 3, and you can 2v1 every Pokemon instead of having to just be the better trainer and 1v1 everything.
Yeah, I completely agree. Give it a little bit more uniqueness to it. Maybe make some gym battles, you know, do some really interesting more mechanics just to make them kind of fun. Even I would be okay with it. The biggest thing I want to see is them not to be a pushover. Gym battles, Elite Four, and Champion, you know, they're supposed to be the best of the best that you at that point in time. And you know, when you're sitting over here steamrolling with one Pokemon, it's like, are you really the best of the best? So, and there are some strong gym leaders, but it's very, very far few between.
Yeah, for sure. And even further to that point, like, you should maybe we should have it that like it's 3v3 or 4v4 for all of the gym battles throughout the entire like region, and then when you get to the champions and the Elite Four, it's 6v6 and it's singles or doubles. The reason that I think that is that Pokemon's official tournaments are all like standard like VGC formats are all double battles anyways, so or battle spot singles, and so those are all 3v3s and 4v4s. So to me, like, you kind of have this weird game where like it's all like 1v1s, and like you have 6 Pokemon going up against 3, and then all of a sudden they're going like, hey, we want more competitive players, and no one knows how to play any of the formats. And so having that just in your base game just teaches people from the grassroots right away.
Number 3.
Alright, Gilko, so what do you think about rivals?
Okay, so as you guys know, Pokemon in whole hasn't had a whole lot of great rivals. There's been some okay ones recently, I guess. Well, I say that, but they really haven't been that great in a while. Back in the early days of, you know, Red, Blue, Gold, Silver, and even Ruby and Sapphire, you have the rivals that are kind of like cocky and arrogant, such as like Silver and Blue. And even in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, you actually have Brendan or May be kind of challenging. They actually do pose kind of a threat. For those that don't know, Brendan and May in Ruby and Sapphire, there's literally a route known as a Nuzlocke Ender just because of how difficult it is. And I would like to see some more of that in Scarlet and Violet. We've seen 2 rivals, well, 3 rivals. I can't remember their names. One's a shy person, one is a person that's really good at cooking, and one person that has like a hurt arm. I do have high hopes for them, at least for the person that has like the little hurt elbow, and maybe the cook. I don't think the person that's shy is going to be very good at battling, at least not at first. I get more of a Wally kind of impression. But kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, the rivals that, you know, in Gen 6 and Gen 7 and Gen 8, they're just all kind of there, especially Gen 6. They've got way too many, and even because they've got so many, they don't have any story. They kind of are very, very forgettable. As a matter of fact, I have a hard time remembering all of them. There's like Serena, Tierno, and...
Serena was the only relevant one. It's all good.
Yeah, my point exactly. And then you got How and Hop, and both of them are not really rivals. They're very much so happy-go-lucky. Hop, while he does get a legendary, which I think is probably the first time a rival actually has a legendary and uses it in battle at some point in time that I can think of. He's very, very whiny for a good chunk of the game, to the point where it kind of gets annoying and you kind of just hate him for it. How is just a very happy-go-lucky person, and you honestly feel like you're the bully to him because you're always ahead of him. And I would like to see a return to form of a rival that was, you know, even if they're not as arrogant as like Blue and Silver, at least Brendan and May type of like tier, just to kind of show that they actually know what they're doing. Especially now that we know that the game takes place in a school, the upperclassmen should be, you know, have more knowledge of what's going on. They've been at this school for, you know, however many years it is. They should know, you know, top matchups better. They should know, you know, if something's coming in that might have a super effective move, swap out. Do some switches like that. So yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking of. Again, they don't need to be like terribly, terribly hard for them to be a good rival either. Brendan and May are a good example of that. They're not hard most of the game, but they do have moments to where they can, you know, if you're not paying attention, they'll take you out very, very easily. So yeah, that's kind of what I think about rivals. I kind of want to see a return to form of what it was. What do you think, Leaf?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even like. I think a really good example is Sharon and Bianca. One of them is kind of your jerk rival that you want to beat, and they're pushing you. They're a good trainer, but like Bianca, like I kind of think of Bianca as like kind of the anime where like you have like Dawn and May that are like they're more interested in like Pokemon contests, right? So like they're more of a supportive rival, but then they have their own interests, and like maybe you can like hop into like a contest with them and then you're competitive with them for once, but like they're more supportive, and you don't need to have every character be like Sharon or whatever, but like kind of a happy medium. Like maybe you have two opposite friends. I think most people who have a friend group, like your friends aren't all the same, right? You're gonna have people who are different, they like different things, and so you being able to interact with them differently, I think will just, you don't need to, like, especially when you're in school, you're gonna have your clique of like 3 or 4 people that you hang out with all the time, and then you have like other people that are more of acquaintances. I think in a school we're gonna see that a lot, and so that's kind of what I think about like mind of it anyways.
Number 2.
All right, Leaf, kind of getting towards the top of our list here. What kind of quality of life and improvements do you want to see in Scarlet and Violet from the past games?
Yeah, so I think Legends Arceus did a lot of really good things. I mean, really, the last couple have done some really good things in terms of quality of life and just ease of access, right? I mean, ride Pokemon have been available pretty much since Sun and Moon, to some capacity. They've improved on it each and every time. Obviously, we saw in the trailer a couple days ago that the box legends will basically be your travel method throughout the entire game. Can I also point out, just random side note, that like the red dragon, he still uses his feet even though he has the wheels. Can I just point that out there? But yeah, the day-night cycle I think is another thing. We've seen it in other games. It's something that should be applicable in an open world. We saw it in Legends Arceus. Let's just see it again. The seasonal changes, I would like to see it. I understand that they want to have kind of parts of the map kind of more to cater to one Pokemon so that you can find that Pokemon that location. But I think seasonal changes throughout the map, I think, would just go a long way. I think we're probably going to end up seeing, it's going to be very similar to Arceus, where we'll go back and forth to that school probably. They'll probably send you off in one direction. You'll do your thing. You might have to check in. Or like it'll be like a central hub, and you'll go off, you'll do a certain amount of gyms and whatever order you end up doing them in, and then they'll say, okay, come back and do this thing for the school, and then they'll send you back again, and then stuff like that, right? So I think as long as you see the seasonal changes, like maybe in that main school area, I think it will kind of counteract the wild area being more of like a what do they call it, like a zoned area for certain Pokemon. The other thing I like to see, just things that they've continued on from being able to move around on the battle screen. It was kind of cool to see like I don't know, Lucario attacking that Garchomp in the trailer, right? And you have like from like the Legends Arceus trailer, and you could move around and be like, you could see it from Garchomp's perspective, and you'd be like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like different camera angles. Being able to change the movesets whenever you want. I mean, do we really need to have heart scales still when we can have a trainer? And to be honest, like, if your Pokemon did learn a move, don't you think they'd still be able to learn it even though they can use a stronger version of it? So I think to me, just being able to go back and forth, whatever moves you want to switch in and out, as long as they've learned them before. And the trade evolutions, we got link cables in Arceus, and so I think as much as Pokemon has always wanted to make the game something that you have to interact with other people for, not everyone has access to that. And so I think, some of the coolest Pokemon from the earliest generations, like Gengar is one of the cooler Pokemon, I think, from Generation 1. And how many people really got to use a Gengar ever until, like, they were way older? So, I think that's kind of one other thing. And then the last thing, and I think really one of the more important things, probably very good for the balance of Pokemon, especially since we kind of have like other new things that we'll talk about later, but Frostbite and Drowsy replacing Sleep and Freeze. Sleep, it was 2 to 5 turns, you had no control over it, and you could either not wake up or whatever. And you had the option of like, you would wake up and then not move, and then you'd be slower than your opponent, and they just put you to sleep right again. So to me, Sleep was just crazy. And same with Freeze. Like, Freeze was even worse because you had no idea whatsoever. There was no like 2 to 5 range. It was just, you could be frozen for 30 turns in a row. There was no real thing with it. But Frostbite now being a little bit more akin to the special version of Will-O-Wisp, and Drowsy being more like Confusion, or actually it's more like Paralysis, to be honest, where you have a chance of not moving. But yeah, so I think those are just more balanced. They're a little bit and they kind of like balance everything out as a whole. So I think those are the main improvements that I want to see. Is there anything you want to add there, Gilko?
Yeah, you pretty much touched up on it all. Like I said, to kind of go back to the seasonal change, we actually do see Sawsbuck in the trailer, which has been the first time it's been in a game, to my knowledge, since Black and White. So hopefully, as you guys know, Sawsbuck has different forms based off the season, so maybe that is the case. And hopefully it won't be stuck to where, you know, there's one up in the north part of it, and that's where you get the winter form. Hopefully you actually do get to see the seasons change, even if it is the school area, which I do think is the hub. It would be a nice kind of touch, and, you know, maybe you can take a Deerling there and evolve it, and it will change the form there. That would also be really cool. I completely agree as well for the Frostbite and Drowsy. I absolutely hate sleep and being frozen. It's one of the worst things ever, and it just ends up me going, okay, well, I'm going to press A bunch of times, and maybe I'll wake up, or maybe I won't, and then move on. So yeah, completely agree with those.
Number 1.
All right, Gilko, so we've made it to number 1 on this week's list. What is your thoughts on the regional variants?
So the trailer that came out this week did actually reveal regional variants, which I was really happy to see. Palladian, I think. Wooper is one of the greatest things in existence, and I can't wait to use it. Not only because it's good typing, but it just is adorable as heck. But besides that point, they've been in the game since you know, Sun and Moon, when they introduced Alolan forms, and the best thing about the regional variants is it has the potential of, well, I guess I should say it helps Game Freak with not having to come up with as many designs. Yes, they do have to design the Pokemon again, but they already have a base design to work with. You take something like Ninetales and you add just a little bit of it, and to me, most of the forms for the regional variants look better than the original form. Now, there is a few of them that I do not care for as much. I'm looking at you, Zigzagoon. I'm not a big fan of Galarian Zigzagoon, but at the same time, it kind of fits the theme, right? You know, Pokemon, they're very conscious about the number 1,000th Pokemon pin, and they are coming up to it very, very closely. So I think they're going to try to lower the 1,000 mark and try to wait to hit that until and to kind of fill the decks to make it out more with regional variants. You know, if you go back and look specifically at Sun and Moon's X and Y's, the Pokedex themselves were not very big. X and Y's, I think, of like new Pokemon, I think was less than 100. I could be wrong on that. I have to look and see, but I do remember it being very, very small. That was one of the biggest disappointments I had with the game. And in Sun and Moon, they didn't add a whole lot of new Pokemon. There was more, but the more thing that they did add is the regional variants, even though I think there's like 20. But it's still, you know, a chance to get to use these Pokemon. And like I said, most of them are better. And I'm just going to go back to Alola and Ninetales. You see regular Ninetales, it doesn't really get used for anything competitively or just in the game itself. It's kind of forgotten about. But you have something like Alola Ninetales, it, you know, is like the premier Hail setter for the time, and it gets Aurora Bell. You set it up and you're kind of good. So yeah, I really, really like it. And to kind of go back, one of my favorite electric types is Stunfisk, and mainly just because of how silly it is. But I remember seeing Galarian Stunfisk, and I'm like, I love this thing so much. It's so great that it's now a bear trap. It's so silly, and it gives them the liberty of being silly as well. So yeah, I'm definitely glad to see it return. I do hope we get a hefty amount of regional forms. I would like to see about 20-ish again. If we'll get that much, I don't know, but to me, the more the merrier. As long as they don't go over the top and like half the decks is new forms, I think we'll hit a happy medium of a 20 to 30 and I'll be okay. What's your thoughts on it, Leaf?
Yeah, so I have a couple theories on this as well. Okay, so one, what do you think about them leaving the Pokedex, like this Pokedex, at 999?
I could absolutely see it, and the next generation start at 1000.
Yeah, so that's one of the first things. The second thing is we actually saw the Terra Pikachu from the Pikachu card, right? Like the Gen 1 cards where they have like the Surfing Pikachu, and like they've now they added a Alolan Raichu, which is basically the Surfing Pikachu. They've now added the Flying one. Was there any other ones that were involved in that as well?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. But either way, like they're adding stuff that's like from other games and kind of adding like lore and history from other things. Another theory I have, and that kind of goes to that point, is what if they, like, we saw Crystal Onyx, and that's probably what Terrastal is actually based off of. And then the other point would be, do we see 30 different Tauros because Ash had 30 Tauroses?
I mean, it's definitely a possibility. It is, the Spain area and bullfighting and stuff is a prominent feature. It definitely would not surprise me if we got Tauros like a form at any point in time. It also wouldn't surprise me if we got an evolution. It would be very interesting to see multiple Tauruses, Tauri, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, or like plural form.
Horde of Tauros? Tauros? I don't know.
I guess. Anyways, it'd be an interesting concept to see like multiple forms of those. Pokemon does tend to hint around these type of things, and and foreshadow a lot of things. It would not surprise me if they go back into that. And if you look at it, I can't remember. There was a post I saw of like foreshadowing a lot of the gimmicks. One was back in the original anime, Misty is waving goodbye to a Gyarados. That Gyarados looked very, very weird. However, if you take that Gyarados and compare it to Mega Gyarados, it was actually the same thing as a Mega Gyarados. Dragonite is another example. Back in the anime, you might remember that there was a ginormous Dragonite, and Gigantamax was born. There was also one about Pikachu, and it was like Pikachu using like some kind of psychic power type thing. I can't remember where it was from in the anime. And then you have Alolan Raichu from it, which is a psychic type Pokemon. So it would not surprise me at all to see a lot of that foreshadowing.
Alright guys, so that is me and Gilko's top 5 wish list. So make sure to, in the comment section down below, leave your kind of wish list down below. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. And in the comment section down below, or in the description down below, actually, we were going to have the link to the other video as well. So make sure to go check out the other video before you do anything else. And that is it. Gilko, got anything to add?
I don't. I've had a lot of fun, and I guess we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.